My name is Patrick Harris. I work over here at Western Title. I'm one of the sales guys here. We have been around since 1902, which makes us the sixth oldest company in Nevada. It doesn't mean we're old, it just means we're wise. We know our stuff, we do it well, and we provide quality service. So if you guys are ever in need of any relocation guides, any escrow or title services, if you just need to brainstorm about how to get more business, that's what we are here to do. We like to make you guys look good, because when the industry looks good, we all look good. Today, our hot topic class is going to be on business planning. We're going to be going over a quick worksheet that's going to add up all of your expenses and show how much you guys need to be doing deal-wise and call-wise for the next year to make sure that you exceed your expenses and hit your target goals for how much you want to make for this coming year. After that, we're going to be going over a marketing guide. That one, we're just going to give a brief overview, because that's more something you need to be thinking about on your own. Both of these files have been sent to you guys by email. If you have not received it, they're also available through Breakthrough Broker, which if you don't have an account for that, we're more than happy to sign you up. It's free to use. All you have to do is just go in and start downloading. So in that case, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen for you guys. All right, so this is our success plan. There are two success plans that I sent you guys. One is interactive, which means the PDF is already set up and it's going to do the math for you. So when you start plugging in numbers, it will automatically add up all the numbers at the very monthly total. Now, if you don't have the interactive guide, you're going to have to use a calculator by yourself, unfortunately. So for those of us who aren't math majors, go ahead and pull out your calculator to go ahead and get ready for this. Go ahead and whether you have it printed out or whether you have it online, go ahead and open up and go to page 2. We're going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what we're doing. We might move a little bit fast for you guys. Remember that this class is recorded, and we are going to be sending it to you. So if you lose something, you fall behind, just try and keep up, and we can go back and run some numbers later, and you can watch this video again. All right, so in the very beginning, the first thing that we're going to be doing, step 1, is determine your monthly personal expenses. So like I said, you're going to be putting in all of these categories, and then at the very bottom, if you have the interactive one, it will automatically total. And if you don't have the interactive one, you'll have to add this up by yourself. So let's go ahead and just run through some numbers. I'm going to pretend that I am Harry Potter and my house is $1,500 a month. I also have a broomstick that is about $200 a month that I get to pay for. And because it's cheap and has good gas mileage, I don't have to spend too much on gas. And there's just a little bit of car maintenance that I like to put in there. Car insurance isn't too bad on a broomstick. Ooh, that's probably per year. So let's cut that down just a little bit. No other car payment. How much do we pay for electric or gas? Let's go ahead and say everything combined is probably $150, including cable and internet maybe. And then we pay $100 for phone, take out water, and you can fill in all the rest of these if you need. And as you can see at the very bottom, it has a monthly total of $2,120. Now this number, if you don't have the interactive version, you're going to take this number and put it at the bottom left cell on page 2. So the example here, we're just trying to find out how much you're spending per month and then timesing it by 12 so that you know how much you're spending per year. So 2120 times 12, it's showing that we're spending about $25,440 a year. I wish. So we might have to go back and change some of that depending on what our expenses are. Now this number right here, we're not going to be using this number again, but keep it in mind that your target take home on page 3 should be higher than your expenses. Basic math, basic economics, hopefully you're bringing in more money than you're spending. Otherwise, we're all going to be in the poorhouse soon. All right, so moving on to page 3, what is your target take home income? So for example, Harry is a very good realtor now that he's done in Magic World, and he wants to make $100,000. So feel free to put in here whatever you need. This number is going to increase over the next couple pages. We're going to be calculating how much you'll be spending, how much you'll have to pay in taxes. We're going to be calculating how much you need to be giving to your broker and some of the other fees that are associated with your business. So we're trying to make more money to cover all those expenses and then also have a target take home of the amount that you'd like. So we have 100,000 right here. This number right here that you just put in is going to be copied down. If you have the interactive version, it will be on the next page, should be on page 4, but it doesn't look like it grabbed it. So we're going to give an example of what it's like to do a handwritten one. So we are going to look at Uncle Sam. We're going to assume there's a 30% tax rate. If you feel that this is too high, if you think that you'll probably be closer to maybe the 22% tax rate or 20% tax rate, feel free to change this. So right here on page 4 at the very top in column C, this is where you're putting your target take-home income, 100,000. Let's say, for example, we're not going to be in the 30% tax rate. Maybe we're in the 25. Actually, I believe it is, if I remember right, it's 26. So this will automatically do the math for you. But if you're doing the print copy, you'll take 26 divided by 100. That'll give you 0.26. And then it's 1 minus 0.26. That number right here, that's what you'll divide your target take-home income. So as you can see, 130. Oh, we should probably take that comma out. I think that's throwing us off a little bit. There we go. So it is saying now to cover your taxes at a 26% tax rate, we need to be making $135,135. And that will pay for your taxes and still give you $100,000 for take home. All right, now for GCI, we're also going to be showing what the commission split is. So we're going to be taking that taxable income that we just came up with and dividing it by the calculation up here for the commission split. There's also cap commission split too. So if you have an agreement with your broker for a cap commission, they also account for that as well. So let's take this number right here on page 4, $135,135, and we're going to be moving on to page 6. Same idea. In C, we're going to go ahead and put down this amount. And then for the cap commission split, most people, I believe, have pretty close to what this is. If you have been in the industry for a while, you might be able to negotiate a different one. In this case, we are going to use that 20% commission split. So again, 20 divided by 100 is 0.2, and then 1 minus 0.2 equals 0.8. That number is what you're going to take your taxable income and divide it by that number. And again, it's going to be higher. So it'll show 168,918. Now, don't get too flustered by all this. We're going to be breaking this down soon into how many deals you need per month and how many contacts you're going to need to be making with appointments. So this number may seem astronomical right now, but don't worry, we're going to make this make sense. If you need any help with the capped commission split estimate, we're more than happy to sit down with you and kind of go over this individually. But for now, we're going to stick with the numbers that we have. We will come back to this number later. This is going to be used again, the 168,918, your income before commission split. Right now, we're going to be going over a little bit more of your expenses. So we covered your personal expenses. Now we're going to be covering your board expenses. So for example, in the last year of RSAR, if you are working up here in Reno, everywhere's a little bit different, but we have some of these numbers written down. Looks like your board application is going to be 570, according to the numbers that I'm looking at right here. MLS fees, I'm not seeing that one. Feel free to chime in if you guys know some of these numbers. Looks like the board fees are about 2,000 if my numbers are correct. And there are going to be some other numbers in here, obviously, as well. And E&O insurance, usually, I believe that's about $250 a year. Again, if anybody has some accurate numbers, feel free to write them down in the comments. You can go onto the RSAR site or to your local association, and on their application, they do have all of these numbers written down, which is pretty nice. So you can go through and actually look at all of them. Looks like we do have a comment on some of the numbers. MLS is $64.50. All right, perfect. So we'll add that one in there. All right, so once this is all added up, you're going to have an annual total of, looks like it's about $3,000. Again, we could have some other numbers in here, especially if you have any desk fees. Not so popular during the COVID pandemic time, but keep these in mind. And this number right here is what you're going to be adding into the middle of page 7. So that number I told you before, the income before commission split plus the business expenses we just came up with. So we have 168,918. And we have annual expenses. We're just going to round this up and say that it's 3,000. So your targeted GCI is $171,918. That is how much, hopefully, you will be making next year to make sure that Harry can afford his Nimbus 2000 as well as be a successful realtor in the city that he lives in. Now, like I said, don't get too petrified by this number. It may seem a little bit large, but we're going to now break this down into how much you guys are going to have to do business-wise. This is where it's going to take a little bit of personalization. Everybody's business is a little bit different. So we're going to take this number, 171,918, and we're going to go down here. So for your commission split, we need to figure out your target sales volume. I believe that was our number. Let me double check really quick. It was. All right, so what we're going to be doing now is taking that target CGI that we just came up with, the 171,918, and we're going to be dividing it by the average commission percentage. Now, for those who are new to real estate, it is 3%. Obviously, this can be negotiated in a different way. Perhaps you guys are, oops, I'm putting in the wrong number there. Sorry about that. Perhaps you guys know the seller and have negotiated a different percentage. Perhaps you believe you're doing a little bit more legwork and have had this property for a while. Percentage can change, but we're going to do an average of what you should be making, and you guys should be making 3%. So 3 divided by 100, that number that you get, 0.03, is what you're going to divide in the denominator. The numerator there is going to be your target CGI. This will end up with your target sales volume. So we're going to have $5,730,600 of target sales volume. This number just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Now, what we're going to do now is take this target sales volume and divide it by the average sales price here in the city. This really greatly depends on what area you are working in. So first, what we'll do, we'll take this number, copy it, and we're going to paste it on the bottom left of page 9. So that target sales volume, 5,730,600. We're now going to divide it by the average sales price. So for example, if you're living here in the city of Reno, it's about 450,000. Oh, and we need to leave comma out on the interactive one. Now, if you're working perhaps in Sparks, this number is going to be a little bit lower. If you are working maybe in Fernley or Fallon or Carson City, adjust these numbers accordingly. As a little plug, Western Title has Altos stats. We provide stats for cities as well as specific zip codes. So if your company does not provide stats, we are more than happy to send some your way, and they come through once a week and cover the last 90 days of the area. So we're more than happy to provide those to you. Once you take your target sales volume and divide it by the sales price, you will have your target amount of transactions. So like I said, that number seems a little scary, but now that we've boiled it down, we're going to be doing 12.73 transactions. We're just going to call that 13 because we don't need to put 12.75 of a deal. So we'll just round this up to 13. We're going to have 13 and 13. All right, so bottom of page 10, we're going to break this into how many sellers you work with and how many buyers. So take that number that you had on the bottom of page 10 and put the transactions required in the very middle. Now, depending on how long you've been doing business, these numbers might look different. If you're new to real estate, you may have a heavier percentage of buyers over sellers. Traditionally, if you've been in real estate a little bit longer, you're starting to work with more sellers and less buyers. So in the example that they have above, they're pretty even. They're 60% sellers, 40% buyers. We're going to pretend that Harry is a new real estate agent and he's a little bit heavier on the buy side. So let's go ahead and say we need to convert this to a percentage. So instead of 20%, we're going to write 0.2, and then we're going to write 0.8 for the buyers. This will automatically calculate and show us that we need 2.6 sellers transactions and 10.4 buyer transactions. So we'll just simplify these because we got to work in whole numbers for transactions. We are going to need 3 sellers transactions and 10 buyers transactions. All right, so we're going to be working with the seller side first. The first thing that we're going to need to do is it went ahead and grabbed some very funky numbers for us. The interactive version really has some issues here, doesn't it? So the seller side transactions required, go ahead and put, this is page, I believe this is 11. Go ahead and put that in the very middle. So we're going to be working with 3. Now we need to look at your estimated success rate once you have a transaction. As you guys know, you're going to go to a listing appointment, and then once you secure that listing appointment, you need to know how many of those listings you will actually close and actually sell. So we're going to be doing 2 different formulas here. The very first one is your success rate. You already have the listing. Now, how common is it that you're actually going to sell that property? This number should be relatively high. Hopefully your broker is giving you some good training about how to get that property out there and make sure that it sells well. So 0.8 is not unreasonable. So 3 divided by 0.8 means you need to have 3.75 listings. We're going to round this up again and say 4. So take that number on the bottom of page 11. We're going to need 4 listings. Now, how many appointments do you need to have to make sure that you get that many listings to be sold? Estimated success rate. So say, for example, you're walking in, you have a presentation, you're trying to get a listing. How successful are you? This number sometimes is a little bit less. Harry's a little bit new at this, so he's a 50-50 guy. He's going to have 8 target listing appointments. He's going to have to meet with 8 different people who want to sell their home to get 4. Now that we're done with the sellers, we're going to be moving over to the buyers. So if I remember right, we had 10. Yes, we did. So on page 12, we're going to put our buyer side transactions right here. And now we're going to be looking at our success rate. How many buyers, once you have them working with you and they've signed a contract that they're going to work with you for the foreseeable future, how many of those actually convert into buyers? Now, if you're a little bit new to the industry, you can grade this down a little bit. You might lose some buyers. They might become discouraged by the market. It's a little bit harder of a market to get in right now, especially if you're working with first-time home buyers. Now, on the other hand, if you've been in the industry for a while and you've got some good tactics for buyers, if maybe they have a little bit more capital on their side and a little bit more liquid cash, you might have a little bit higher of a success rate. So go ahead and put this in. We're going to be a little bit modest for Harry, and we're going to give him 0.75. So he's going to have 13 buyer side clients to make sure that he closes 10. Now, the nice thing is with the interactive model on page 14, this automatically fills in for you. If not, you're going to have to go back and fill some of these numbers in on your own. However, this will kind of give an overview of everything that we just did. We ran our personal expenses and decided how much we want to take home. We want to take home $100,000. Before taxes and before commission splits, we need to bring home $171,918, which means we need to sell $5.7 million worth of homes in the coming year. Based on our track record, we're going to be selling 3 homes and have 10 buyers with a total of about 13 transactions. And that means that we need to have 13 buyers and 8 listing appointments across the whole year to make sure that we're successful. Now, the nice thing here is if you're keeping track of your numbers from the last year, you'll know how many cold calls that you made. You'll know how many people you had to meet in the grocery store, or just in general, how many groups you had to be involved in, and how many numbers you actually got. You can then look at these numbers and say, hey, last year I did 10 listing appointments. It looks like I should just keep doing what I'm doing. Now, maybe last year, because of the pandemic, it was a little bit tougher, and you need to kind of look at some new avenues about how to do this. That's the nice part about our next form that we have here, the marketing plan. It goes over buyer activities and seller activities to make sure that you meet these goals. So this page right before, page 13, has a couple ideas that we could go over. But the nice thing is the marketing plan goes over a lot of these in detail. So they talk a little bit more about direct mailers, open houses. Open houses are a little bit tough, obviously, right now. Special letters that you can write that are already pre-written, social media ideas, as well as some referrals and mass media marketing. So to generate some of these ideas, we're going to be moving over to your marketing plan. Now you guys should have this as well. We're going to zoom in a little bit. So it should look like this, a bunch of grids, and at the very bottom it says marketing action plan. The first thing it's going to have you do is analyze who you are and what you are marketing. So the first 2 pages go over short-term goals as well as long-term goals. Now, if you're struggling coming up with any of these, if maybe you're not so good at New Year's resolutions, the nice thing is we literally just came up with some goals. So if you go back to your business plan and you look at those numbers, you can write down on your goals that you need 13 buyers and 8 listing appointments. So easy as that. You can put down in your long-term goals 13 buyers, 8 listing appointments. There are also some ideas on here that you need to maybe get 3% social media engagement, 30 new followers per week, reach out to 10 people in your sphere a week, all that good stuff. So it does help you come up with some goals. Feel free to look around on the internet too if you need some inspiration. The next page is going to be going over who you are as a realtor. So if you're new to the business, this is kind of a nice way to look at yourself and think about how you're going to market yourself and have an elevator pitch. If you're an established agent, this can be a good checklist to go through and make sure that your marketing still aligns with who you are and what you want to be portraying yourself as. So, for example, some of the words that aren't on here might apply to you. Maybe you have some moxie, maybe you got some spunk, maybe you're technologically advanced for your age. There's a bunch of different things that you could put on here that aren't necessarily on the checklist. Once you've marked who you are, this is where you're going to start talking about what you offer your clients. This is where I encourage you guys, take an hour, sit down, find a nice quiet place, and actually think about as a person who you are and what the personality is you would like to show as a real estate professional. So what are your clients going to appreciate most about you? If you're new to the business, maybe think about what your family and friends appreciate the most about you, and then relate that from there. Or what is your promise to clients? Are you going to sell every house that you go into? Are you going to make sure that they have quality buyers? It really depends on who you are as a person and what that promise needs to be. What makes you different from other agents? Now, this is what in college they call the competitive advantage. So, for example, Carnival cruise ships and Norwegian cruise ships. They both offer cruise ships. They both offer good cruise, but what makes them different? Carnival offers cheaper cruises, whereas Norwegian offers excellent service. Those are some of their competitive advantages, as well as another cruise ship has a very, very sleek design in their ship, and they have the best mile per gallon out there on the ocean. So that makes it so that they're bringing in more money than everybody else. Think of it the same way as agents. What makes you different and what makes you somebody that they would want to work with beyond all of the other 3,000 agents here in the city? And last but not least, the most important thing that I do for my clients. Now, once you have completed all these pages, this is your brand message. This is going to be your elevator pitch. You need to be able to explain who you are, what you do, and why people should use you in a quick 60-second, no more than 2 sentences. So they do have an example up here. They provide clients with a highly personalized, hassle-free home buying and selling experience with 15 years of experience themselves. So take a look at those examples and make sure that this brand message is unique. It should not apply to anybody else here in the city, let alone anybody else on the planet, if we're doing our job right. Now, last but not least in here, they're going to break down for you marketing activities on a budget every single day. So at the very end, it's going to break down every single day of the week, and you're able to write down your monthly budget for your marketing plans. Breakthrough Broker has a bunch of stuff that's already free on there. You just have to print it yourself. So that kind of helps with your monthly budget. And it plans all the way through December what you can be doing to make sure that you are successful. So take a look through that marketing plan. Take some time, especially if you don't have your marketing speech already down. Take some time to make sure that it is well-formed, well-spoken, and that you could explain to anybody what you're doing. Take some time and come up with some marketing endeavors and plan them out every single day of the week, whether that's social media, direct mailers, all that good stuff. Another note that we like to remind people, when it comes to address lists, we're happy to provide those, but don't just use them as a once and done. Make sure that you're using them several times. The best percentage of usage is use them at least 3 times every 21 days. So use it at about once a month, basically, for three months. That usually garners about a 5 to 10% response rate. People like to see advertisements at least 3 to 5 times before they even consider it. So make sure that you're using those and not just using it once, it didn't work, and throwing it out the window. That brings us to the end of our marketing plan as well as our business plan. I know in consideration of the math, we probably went super duper quick. So nice thing is, like I said, this is recorded, so you can watch this again and pause it when I'm moving too fast. You have the interactive version as well as the print version. Use whichever one works best for you. Western Title is also more than happy to meet with you and go over these plans individually or with any of your agents. Right now, we can either do that virtually or sitting down in person. We can go over all those numbers and make sure somebody has a good marketing plan that's going to be successful. If you guys have any more questions for us, feel free to give us a call. Our main line is 332-7100, or you can reach out to the sales staff. We're at westernmarketing@westerntitle.net. Our next class is going to be on Thursday, February 4th. We're going to be going over the new notification system from the Washoe County Recorder's Office. It's a pretty cool, slick new system that relates to recording and titles and deeds and all that good stuff. So watch out for that. We're going to be sending out an invite here in the next couple of weeks. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the chat. You can unmute yourselves as well. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a very happy new year. Do we have any questions? Doesn't look like we do. Going. All right. Well, in that case, we will leave it be for the day. Again, feel free to reach out to the sales team, and we will be sending out this recording to everybody very soon. Thank you again for joining us, and everybody have a great day. All right. Thank you. Bye.